Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know, first, China's AI strategy challenges the West using cheaper energy and rapid application deployment to offset US chip advantages. We'll analyze why this two-pronged strategy is a turning point and how it could affect global AI competitive dynamics and supply chains. Second, Baidu spins off its Kunlunxin AI chip unit for a major IPO, creating a CUDA-compatible challenger to Nvidia's software dominance. In this episode, we'll break down the strategy behind creating a CUDA-compatible off-ramp and what it signals for Nvidia's software ecosystem dominance. Third, Apple's Vision Pro becomes a commercial flop with a 95% marketing cut, signaling a major industry pivot away from VR. We'll explore how this high-profile failure could transform the spatial computing landscape and accelerate the shift toward ambient AI wearables. Fourth, free AI personal trainers are helping users achieve record fitness goals, disrupting the multi-billion-dollar human coaching industry. So we'll discuss why this trend matters and what it means for the future of personalized health, regulation, and human-led coaching services. Fifth, Elon Musk's promise to save the US government $2 trillion with his Doge task force reportedly ended in chaos and data security risks. We'll analyze why this clash of Silicon Valley culture and government bureaucracy is a cautionary tale and how it could affect future tech-led public sector reforms. In what's being called China's Silicon Valley, a city is racing to build cutting-edge robots and brain-computer interfaces. At the same time, across town, developers are building AI fortune-telling apps. Believe it or not, this duality perfectly captures the battle for the future of artificial intelligence, and it's happening in Hangzhou. While the West focuses on superintelligence, China's AI push is all about practical applications, and the results are staggering. We've discussed this before, the contrast between the West's superintelligence race and China's playbook of fast, practical deployment, and today, Hangzhou is that thesis on full display. Take ByteDance's chatbot Doge. It just hit 155 million weekly active users, nearly double its closest competitor. The lesson here, user experience is crushing pure technical sophistication. The strategy behind those numbers is Doge's friendly design and its seamless integration into Douyin, China's version of TikTok. This means hundreds of millions of people can access the chatbot without ever leaving the app they already use every day. It's a masterclass in meeting users where they are. The situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, China is laser focused on industrial robotics to upgrade its factories, a goal written directly into their national plans. In fact, China now accounts for over half of all global robot installations. On the other side, the US is focused more on general research and consumer-facing robots, like those from Tesla and Boston Dynamics. A US commission is now even urging Washington to accelerate its own robotics investment, warning of China's rapid advances. It's a massive strategic bet on two different futures. Now, we've also talked about how US export controls give America the brain's edge in advanced chips. But a former Nvidia engineer, now a co-founder at the Hangzhou-based firm Manycore, just went on the record with a bombshell. He says China can offset America's chip advantage by using cheaper energy. His math? If electricity costs are 40 to 50% lower, they can stay competitive even with less advanced, more power-hungry chips. It's a direct challenge to the idea that hardware is everything. To put some numbers on that, electricity in China costs around 8 cents per kilowatt hour, while in the US it's about 17 cents. That's a huge difference. The catch, however, is that domestic Chinese AI chips, like Huawei's Ascend 910C, can consume around 4 times more power than their Nvidia counterparts. So to make the math work, provinces are offering massive power discounts, sometimes up to 50% for data centers using these domestic chips. It's a national strategy to brute force their way to AI competitiveness by subsidizing energy. But that's not the whole picture. The real turning point is a quirky indie scene that's exploding alongside these tech giants. In a suburb called Hangzhou, developers calling themselves Villagers are building everything from AI pets to divination tools. The barrier to entry is so low that one entrepreneur claims you can show up with just $143 and leave with a product demo. What's unfolding here is a fundamentally different model of innovation. In Silicon Valley, it's all about venture capital and the unicorn or bust mentality. In Hangzhou, it's a community of super individuals, solo developers, and small teams thriving on low living costs and local government subsidies. Instead of chasing billion-dollar valuations, they're building niche, emotionally resonant apps that people actually want to use. This bottom-up approach is democratizing AI development in a way we just aren't seeing in the West. Of course, not all of it is gold. One expert warns that many companies are just creating physical AI slop, patching AI onto everything. But this frantic experimentation, from serious robotics to the seemingly frivolous, is creating a tidal wave of innovation. Hangzhou is testing every idea at once, proving that the future of AI may not be about who builds the best single model, but who can flood the market the fastest. Speaking of China's push for AI self-reliance, one of its tech giants just made a massive power play. Baidu is spinning off its AI chip unit, Kunlunxin, for a major Hong Kong IPO, a direct response to intensifying US-China tech tensions. We previously analysed how export controls pushed Chinese firms to design their own accelerators. Today's move is Baidu formalising that pivot in capital markets. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play. Research shows these sanctions have inadvertently created a protected multi-billion-dollar domestic market for companies exactly like Kunlunxin. By locking out foreign competition from key government and telecom contracts, Washington has essentially rolled out the red carpet for China's homegrown chip makers to flourish. It accelerated China's push to go homegrown, creating exactly the sheltered demand Kunlunxin is stepping into, and the numbers behind this are staggering. JP Morgan analysts are forecasting Kunlunxin's sales will increase sixfold to 8 billion Chinese yuan by 2026. This isn't just a startup, it's a rapidly growing force that has already locked in orders worth over 1 billion yuan from suppliers to China Mobile, one of the country's biggest mobile carriers. The core conflict here is the global battle for AI chips. With Washington restricting access to leading-edge chips from Nvidia, Beijing has been mobilizing billions to achieve semiconductor self-sufficiency. And Kunlunxin is emerging as a key piece of that puzzle. So the thing is, this isn't about creating one single Nvidia killer. The strategy is much smarter. China is building a whole ecosystem of specialized, good enough chips. They're focusing on chips optimized for inference. That's the process of running an already trained AI model, which is a massive part of the market. This pairs perfectly with the new, more efficient AI models we've seen that / cost and energy. According to one analyst at Counterpoint Research, it is already seen as one of the most practical and widely used AI chips in China. As we've seen, efficiency-first solutions become incredibly attractive, especially when energy costs and regulations reward hardware that gets more done per watt. Now, get this, the killer detail that reveals the real strategy. The expert went on the record stating that Kunlunxin's strength is that it works well with common AI frameworks and makes it easier to move workloads from Nvidia. This is the software war. Nvidia's real dominance isn't just its hardware. It's a software platform called CUDA that locks developers in. What Baidu is doing with Kunlunxin is building a CUDA-compatible software stack. It means developers can switch their AI applications from Nvidia to Kunlunxin with minimal changes. This isn't just about making a new chip, it's about creating a direct off-ramp from the dominant player in the market. This isn't just one company's ambition either. By spinning off Kunlunxin, Baidu is positioning it as a more neutral national champion. This makes it far easier for Kunlunxin to sell chips to Baidu's direct competitors like Tencent or Alibaba. Kunlunxin is part of a much larger national strategy, working alongside other giants like Huawei to build an entire domestic AI computing ecosystem. While these chips may not fully replace top-tier American performance yet, there's a technical reason. It's the fabrication ceiling. Top Nvidia chips are made by Taiwan's TSMC using the most advanced 4nm process. Chinese fabs are restricted from that technology. The result is a performance and power efficiency gap. But the end game is becoming clear. For critical sectors like government and telecom, where a stable domestic supply matters more than peak performance, China is aggressively building its own independent technological fortress. After all, good enough, delivered at scale, is the new winning hand. While some companies are making bold moves to capture the AI market, one of the biggest names in tech is stumbling with its latest moonshot. Apple's next big thing is reportedly a rare commercial flop. The company is slashing production of its Vision Pro headset, the device that was supposed to usher in a new era of spatial computing. But the production cut isn't even the most shocking number. According to reports, Apple cut its marketing for the Vision Pro by more than 95%. This isn't just a miss. It's being called a rare commercial flop that echoes past Apple missteps like the Newton PDA. Those were products that were too early, too expensive, and didn't have a clear purpose. The Vision Pro seems to be following that same unfortunate script. The sales figures are just as brutal. While Apple hasn't released official numbers, one market research group estimates it sold only 45,000 units in the last quarter of last year. At the launch, CEO Tim Cook promised an infinite canvas that would change computing forever, but consumers balked at the $3,500 price. Reviewers called it heavy, uncomfortable, and little more than a gimmick. This failure is significant because it breaks from Apple's winning formula of entering a category with a premium, game-changing device, think iPod or iPhone. Why did it fail this time? Beyond the price and weight, Apple fundamentally misjudged the need for a killer app. The iPhone let you do everything from anywhere. The Vision Pro, well, it didn't have that one clear must-have reason to exist for most people. And then there are the developers. A recent survey showed 35% had no plans to build for Vision OS, and another 45% were undecided. When you realize a complex Vision Pro app can cost anywhere from $120,000 to over $400,000 to build, you start to understand the hesitation. No developers, no apps, no reason to buy the headset. The backlash drew comparisons to the ill-fated Google Glass, which famously turned its users into social pariahs known as glassholes. When we place Google Glass alongside Vision Pro, the contradiction becomes clear. Technology alone can't solve psychological and social barriers. With Glass, the issue was it felt invasive to others. With Vision Pro, the problem is almost the opposite. It's socially isolating for the person wearing it. Both devices failed to overcome a fundamental human resistance to having a computer on your face. And it's not just Apple feeling the heat. While rival Meta's cheaper Quest headset has captured 80% of the market, even they are hitting the brakes. Mark Zuckerberg's company confirmed it is shifting investments away from its metaverse vision and toward AI glasses and other wearables. This all points to a massive industry pivot. The core conflict is no longer about who can build the most immersive virtual world. The industry is making a strategic retreat from fully immersive VR. The dream of the metaverse required bulky, expensive headsets that create a separate reality. The new goal is ambient computing. Think lightweight, normal-looking glasses like Meta's Ray-Bans that overlay AI-powered information onto the real world. Instead of escaping reality, they enhance it. The dream of spatial computing is being put on hold, as the industry's biggest players now chase a completely different future, one dominated by wearable AI. We were just talking about a high-profile hardware failure, but in the world of software, AI is having a massive and very personal impact. A man in Swansea just swapped his personal trainer for a free AI and now says he's the strongest he's ever been. 23-year-old Richard Gallimore went from bench pressing 70 kilograms to a staggering 110 kilograms. His secret weapon wasn't a high-priced coach, but an AI tool in his pocket that built his entire workout and diet plan. He says he couldn't live without it. And he's not alone. 21-year-old Leah Walsh used a similar AI to train for a half marathon, smashing her personal best time. She loved being able to ask questions at any time of day, adding, "If a personal trainer did a plan for you, you can't message them at midnight." Behind the screen, not all AI trainers are created equal. Some of these advanced AIs connect to a wearable, like a fitness watch, and use real-time biometric data, heart rate, sleep quality, daily strain, to dynamically adjust your training. So if you had a bad night's sleep, the AI might reduce the intensity of your workout. This level of dynamic personalization is what's making these tools so powerful. But here's a number that's shaking up the entire fitness industry. While a human personal trainer can cost up to £65 per single session, these AI tools are completely free. With some UK gym memberships already hitting £132 a month, users are saying the choice is a no-brainer. That free price tag, however, brings its own set of complications. These AI apps often operate in a regulatory grey area. In the US, the FDA doesn't regulate general wellness products unless they claim to treat a medical condition so many apps provide health advice with little oversight. Plus, there's a real risk these systems are trained on unvetted internet content, mixing peer-reviewed exercise science with potentially dangerous bro science. This raises huge questions about safety and liability if someone gets hurt following the AI's advice. This has personal trainers firing back. One veteran coach, Dafid Judd, admits that AI can be a great educational tool that speeds up progress, but he argues it will never replace the human element and, more importantly, accountability. Interestingly enough, this suggests the role of the human trainer isn't disappearing, it's evolving. Experts believe we're seeing the rise of the AI augmented trainer. In this model, the AI does the heavy lifting, automating plans and tracking data. This frees up the human coach to focus on what they do best, providing motivation, correcting form, and handling the complex psychological needs of a client. It's a hybrid future, not a replacement. Judd believes real commitment comes when people actually put their money where their mouth is and show up in person. He delivered this final, powerful statement: as useful as it is at 2 a.m., a computer won't keep you accountable at 7 a.m. before work. But here's a fascinating twist. AI developers are using behavioral science to build accountability right into the apps. They use gamification, setting goals, creating social challenges, and giving you data-driven feedback that can be incredibly motivating. For certain people, especially those driven by data, this digital accountability might actually be more effective. So the question isn't just whether a computer can hold you accountable, but what kind of accountability works best for you. Speaking of disruption, not every attempt to shake up an established system goes according to plan. In fact, some end in spectacular failure. The story begins with a stunning promise from Elon Musk. He would save the US government $2 trillion. His weapon of choice was a new task force with an audacious name, the Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge. But the reality was a collision course with that $2 trillion promise. Instead of trillions, the agency's purported savings reached just $214 billion, a figure that reports say is rife with errors and inaccuracies. When we place the claimed savings alongside independent analysis, the contradiction becomes clear. Those analyses could only verify about $2 billion in actual cuts. That's just 0.03% of federal spending. And during that same period, the federal deficit actually grew by $1.8 trillion, which really calls the entire premise of efficiency into question. The human cost was staggering. The Brookings Institution recorded over 26,000 instances where the administration fired federal workers only to hire them back again. A former White House official put it bluntly, quote, "That was all complete bullshit from the beginning. What they did was they sowed chaos to no avail." Actually, this chaos seems to be a feature, not a bug, when the Silicon Valley ethos of move fast and break things meets government. While that might work for an app, it creates massive instability when applied to public administration, which is built on procedure and stability for a reason. The chaos was so intense that just 4 months into the project, Musk abruptly announced his exit. 6 months later, Doge itself was reportedly no more. What really brought this to a head was the next development, a whistleblower complaint alleging that during the turmoil, the public social security data was copied into an unsecured cloud environment, putting it at risk. The whistleblower, who is the chief data officer of the Social Security Administration, alleged that a live copy of the Numina database was uploaded. This isn't just a list of numbers. It contains the names, birth dates, and social security numbers for over 300 million Americans. Moving this to an unsecured cloud means it was potentially placed on a server lacking mandatory federal security controls known as FedRAMP, designed to protect our most sensitive information from hackers. Experts argued the entire initiative was unnecessary, pointing out that the long-standing Government Accountability Office has already logged over $1.45 trillion in savings since 2002. The GAO and Doge had fundamentally different ideas of efficiency. The GAO uses meticulous audits to find and fix waste. In contrast, Doge's approach seemed to be about rapid, sweeping cuts, which critics argue was less about genuine savings and more about a pretext to dismantle programs without congressional approval. That's why a group called Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, or CREW, sued Doge, arguing this powerful new entity was operating like a shadow government, making huge decisions without any public records. The case became a battle over whether Doge even had to follow transparency laws, a question that went all the way to the Supreme Court for a temporary ruling. So, what was the final verdict from the man who started it all? After promising a $2 trillion revolution, Elon Musk later described the entire effort as a little bit successful. And when asked if he would do it again, he said, "I don't think so. Instead of doing Doge, I would have worked on my companies."
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.